The graveyard shift at my job is when you work from 11 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. the next day. I work as front desk security at a hotel, so during those hours, instead of getting a perky receptionist, you instead get me, a big man with zero customer service. Luckily, for the customers, it's rare that I get more than 2 check-ins after that time. Most of them show up between 11 and 2, so they don't have to deal with me that much, and I don't have to deal with them. No, my main purpose here is to keep the property and the guests safe during this time of night. I mostly sit at my desk, and at the top of every hour, I'll do a specific patrol around the hotel, inside and out. It's usually very quiet, so for the most part my job pays pretty well for the amount of work that I do. Before I know it, I clock in, walk around the property for a little bit, spend most of my time on my cell phone, and then boom, it's 6:30 and the receptionist is coming in to relieve me. I just want to start this off by saying that I no longer work at that hotel, or any hotel, or even as a security guard anymore. Something happened to me that scared me so badly that I quit as soon as 6:30 arrived. Now, I haven't told anyone until now, so here it goes. A few months ago, I pulled to the hotel in my Mustang, said goodnight to the receptionist after she gave me the pass down that one couple named the Davises was to be coming in at some point tonight, and after them, that was all the check-ins left. The receptionist drove off, and there I was, alone in the lobby. I checked my phone and sent a few texts before I started my initial patrol of the hotel. The first walk is walking from the desk and to the left, down the first hallway of rooms, then looping back and walking down the hallway to the right. The hotel is shaped like a T. Then I make my way back to the desk. Just checking for suspicious people or any hazards is the priority. My first patrol I found nothing out of the ordinary and just went back to my phone for the next 45 minutes. Then it was time for my second patrol. I went outside and walked the perimeter of the building. I saw one of the maintenance guys putting away his utility golf cart for the night. It was time for him to go home. I told Frank goodnight, then made my way back to the desk. There I sat on my phone again until 1 a.m. It was time to repeat the first patrol. I walked from the desk down the left hallway and then looped around down the right hallway with nothing out of the ordinary and then made my way back to the desk. I turned the corner and then... Oh, it was just a couple. They finally made it. The last check-in of the night. They had to be the Davis couple. I thought, not even hearing them come in through the door that usually alarms when opened. I barely acknowledged them, probably just a in their general direction, not making eye contact, and made my way around the desk. I pulled up the reservation and handed them their room key. Just then, I finally looked at them. The man was pale white, with a blank expression, and next to him was a white woman with long hair that obscured her face. She just looked at the ground. He took the key, and good riddance, I was glad to get away from them. They had a weird vibe about them. After that, I texted whoever was awake at that point about them, and at 2 a.m. I walked outside and began to smoke in the parking lot. I looked up and saw a car coming in. Must be a walk-in. I threw my cigarette on the ground and went back inside like I was working. A black couple walked in, clearly tired from a long travel with their bags in hand. I asked them something like, "Hey, are you here to make a reservation for tonight?" The man set down his bag and walked over to the desk with his wallet. He pulled out his ID and said, "I made a reservation for Davis, here to check in." Shit! It was at that point I knew I was fired. I just let some people wander in from the street and take a hotel stay for free. I went into the computer and moved some things around to get them a similar room right next to the original room. I gave them their key to room 145 and they left down the hallway. I gave them a little time to settle in before I huffed and made my way to room 143. I knocked on the door and got no response. Finally, after a series of no answers, I pulled out my spare key and entered the room. It was dark. I cut on the light and didn't see anyone. The beds were still made, towels still wrapped and laying on the bed. Nothing had been touched. I inspected the whole room and bathroom, and it looked like no one had been in there. I shut the door and made my way down the hall. I saw Mrs. Davis getting a snack from the candy machine. I passed her and said hello. She just smiled at me and continued with her mission to get a bag of Skittles or something. After I got to the desk, I was thinking that weird-looking couple had to be here somewhere. So I did both patrols and walked down both hallways and saw no one. Went outside and saw no one. Well, I figured I would just have to change the key to room 143 and that would be that. At 3 a.m. is when everything went wrong. I went outside to get that smoke I had missed earlier. A few minutes went by, then I noticed someone at the end of the parking lot. It was that white woman from before. She had her head up and was just looking at me. She creeped me out. I turned and went to head back inside when I noticed the old man was standing by the building. "Hey, is everything all right?" He didn't answer me and just continued staring at me. "Okay, well, have a good night then." I quickly rushed inside and locked the front door. I was not playing around with them. Look, they only gave me a flashlight as a security guard, so if anything ever really went down, I was screwed. I sat down at the desk and texted my friend that was still awake and told her about that weird couple now outside wandering around. She replied, "That is really freaky and that I should call the police." The front door opened. I looked up and didn't see anyone. I don't know how the door opened. I definitely locked it. I got up and went over to it. I locked it for real this time. Outside, the couple was standing closer now, together, looking into the hotel. I went back to the front desk and was prepared to call the police when the door opened again. I damn near shit myself and looked at the door. There was no one there. The phone rang. The caller ID was the Davis's room at 145. The guy called and told me there was loud noises in the room next to him, in room 143. He said it sounded like things breaking and people screaming. I left from behind the desk, looked out the front door into the parking lot and didn't see that couple. I thought, alright, I'm gonna go kick them out and call the cops on them. I went to 143 and yeah, I heard loud banging and just stuff hitting the walls. I used my key and opened it. The room was dark still. I cut on the light and, to my shock, the bed was made, towels still folded on the bed. I inspected the whole room and bathroom and it looked exactly the same as before. That was crazy. I mean, I just heard everything get thrown around in there. I cut off the light and left back to the front desk. The next hour was uneventful, so at 4 I got up from the desk and patrolled the hotel. I went down the left hallway, and at the end was the white woman. She was just standing there, facing me, with her head looking at the ground. I was definitely scared now and backed up and turned to face the hallway to the right. At the end of that hallway was the old man. He stood there looking at me. a slight grin on his face. He began walking down the hall towards me. As he passed the doors, the lights in the hall would go out one at a time. I felt someone behind me then, and I turned around. The woman was now in front of me. Her head was up and facing me. Her hair was uncovered from her face, and it was terrifying. She had dark, red eyes and rows of teeth. I ran to the front desk and called 911. The lights continued cutting off until the darkness came to me. Then, the last light went out, and the phone went dead. Everything went dark. Their faces were right in front of me. They grabbed me and I screamed. They were gone. The lights were on. The door opened and closed. The lobby felt empty again. The phone rang. It was room 145. The Davises. They said they heard screaming in the other room again. I grabbed my flashlight and went to room 143 one last time. I opened the door and cut on the light. Inside the room was completely destroyed. The mattress was thrown on the ground. TV was busted. The curtains thrown everywhere. The bathtub was overflowing with water. On the wall, written in blood, was the words, "Are you scared yet?"